Welcome to my views and news. I am back with another news bulletin. First, there is one clarification. People say, Sajid, you have started Amharic news. Fano fighters, Amhara people are supporting you. They are funding your channel. You are against Oromos, against Tigrayans. That is why you are airing news in Amharic. Well, people know that no one funds my views and news. Amharic videos are just translation videos. What I am saying in English is being translated by the reader in Amharic. That is what I am doing. Since Amharic is the most watched and understood language in Ethiopia, outside Ethiopia too, that is why I chose Amharic. It does not mean that we have some special liking for Amhara people, for Fano, etc. Reporting is going to be impartial. Rest assured that we will not take any sides, whether reporting is in Amharic, Tigrania, Afan, Oromo, etc. So these videos are just translation videos. You can criticize if there is partiality, if the newsreader is taking sides. Do contact me, do point out errors. But so far just translation videos, because there are people who cannot understand English language. We must reach them. In Ethiopia, in Eritrea, outside Ethiopia as well, they can understand a little bit Amharic. That is why we're just testing these Amharic language translation videos. Now, three new stories. The first one is about the Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki. This week I said Isaias Afwerki is frustrated. There is a video on that. If you remember, some Eritrean viewers said, Sajid, you just make up stories. You don't like Isaias Afwerki. He's not frustrated. He respects Sudan's sovereignty. When he said that Sudanese internal problem should be resolved by Sudanese people themselves. Isaias Afwerki is on his way to Egypt. Just a few minutes ago, he departed for Egypt to attend a summit there. Summit to be held tomorrow, but he is arriving in Egypt after a few hours. Second was Tigray Islam, Tigray Orthodox Church regional structure is taking another step, showing its distancing with the main church. Election for the appointment of bishops is going to be held. A date has been announced. Today, Tigray Orthodox Church released a statement confirming the schedule of the election of bishops. Thirdly was Debretsion's interview is being aired. I think he was interviewed lately, maybe around 48 hours ago, I'm not sure. It's in Tigrania. And I have a clip of Debretsion for you when he spoke about Badme. Eritrea, Ethiopia, disputed territory. What is his new position about Badme? Because Badme was under the control of Tigray forces. After the war, it came under Eritrean control. Badme was granted to Eritrea by a boundary commission set up after Algiers agreement. So what is a new position taken by Debretsion about Badme? I have details for you. Firstly, viewers, Egypt is holding a regional summit. Isaias Afwerki, Eritrean President, departed for Egypt a few minutes ago. Information Minister Debretsion Gebremichael has confirmed Isaias Afwerki's departure for Egypt to attend this conference. Usman Saleh is accompanying Isaias Afwerki. He is Foreign Minister of Eritrea. Debretsion Gebremichael is also accompanying. Main man in charge of foreign affairs is Debretsion Gebremichael, both accompanying Isaias Afwerki. The conference is due to be held tomorrow, on Thursday. Isaias Afwerki is visiting Egypt a day earlier. It means that he wants to hold talks with Abdul Fattah al-Sisi, Egyptian president. Egyptian president invited Isaias Afwerki and other regional leaders. Agenda of this conference is a resolution of conflicts with neighboring countries through dialogue. Obviously, the agenda is Sudanese civil war. We are seeing several mediation initiatives to resolve the conflict in Sudan. So far, none of these initiatives produced any results. We know that Saudi Arabia and the United States started talks. They mediated between Rapid Support Forces and Sudanese military in Jeddah. Several rounds of talks were held. Some ceasefires were announced, but none could be implemented completely. So first attempt of mediation was from Saudi Arabia and US, but they then suspended talks because ceasefires were not being implemented. Then IGAD stepped in. IGAD proposed some solutions which are not acceptable. IGAD held two meetings, one in Djibouti and the other one in Addis Ababa recently. IGAD formed a committee of four African leaders: PM Abiy of Ethiopia, President Ruto of Kenya, President Salva Kiir of South Sudan, and President Ismail Omar of Djibouti, to mediate between Rapid Support Forces and Sudan military. IGAD's leaders like PM Abiy demanded establishment of no-fly zone over Khartoum, withdrawal of artillery from Khartoum, and announcement of establishment of a humanitarian corridor. But we saw that proposal was rejected by Sudanese military. Sudanese military rejected Kenyan role as presidency of the IGAD formed committee. A summit was held in Addis Ababa on Monday. It was not attended by Sudanese military delegation, though RSF delegation was there. Salva Kiir and Ismail Omar did not attend the summit too. So IGAD's initiative is also, it has failed, you can say. Then we are seeing some other attempts too, like in Chad, some Sudanese military leaders, not military leaders, armed factions commanders are holding talks. In Ethiopia, we have seen visits by Forces for Freedom and Change. Political factions are visiting too. Malik Agar, Sudan Sovereignty Council Deputy Chairman, has visited several countries as well since his appointment as Sudan Sovereignty Council Vice Chairman. He visited Ethiopia, South Sudan, Kenya, Djibouti, Egypt, Russia, Eritrea. So you see, lot is happening. But so far, on the ground, there is no change, no signs of any ceasefire, no signs of any breakthrough. Now, Egypt is seen as an ally of Sudanese military. And we heard that Egyptian planes were involved in airstrikes on RSF targets in the starting phase of this war, though we could not confirm that. But Egypt supports a Sudanese military, and Egypt made it clear that if Rapid Support Force members advance towards Egyptian border, and if they took control of some bases towards Egyptian borders on Sudanese soil, then Egypt would be forced to intervene. Now, Egypt is organizing this conference on Thursday, tomorrow. Isaias Afwerki was feeling left out. I said that. I clearly said that Isaias, in his meeting with Malik Agar, was saying that all mediation initiatives are part of political bazaar. And he said that the Sudanese internal problem should be resolved by Sudanese people themselves. Basically, since he was not part of any mediation initiative, that is why he was calling them political bazaars. Now, Egypt invited him, and he is there in Egypt on his way a day earlier. You show that how excited he is that he wants to be part of this initiative, because he was left out. He was not made part of previous mediation initiatives by IGAD, etc. Let's see what happens in Cairo, viewers. Will Ethiopia attend this summit or not? I think Ethiopia was invited by Egypt. Will PM Abiy attend the summit, or will he send a low-level delegation? That we'll see in coming hours. Which other countries will attend this summit? On which level? Will top leaders attend the summit, or will they send some second tier leadership? That we'll see. Egypt trying to now tell that it's a relevant player in this conflict. Isaias Afwerki, happy, he is now becoming relevant, though this Egyptian initiative is not expected to bring about any change, I think. Secondly, viewers, Tigray Orthodox Church, Manbere Lama pressing ahead with gradual divorce with the main church. Tigray Manbere Lama, established after the war, says that the main church blessed the war. Its link with the main church is broken. The main church, led by Tigrayan Patriarch Abune Math, is trying to convince Tigray Archbishop to rejoin the church, trying to reconcile with them. A few days ago, Abune Mathis, the Patriarch, visited Mekelle, but the visit was boycotted by Tigray archbishops. Door to churches, gates to churches were closed on Abune Matthias and his accompanying archbishops when they visited Tigray. This week, Abune Matthias delivered 20 million Ethiopian birr aid, financial aid to Tigray interim government. Tigray interim government readily received the aid, thanked church, but it said it was not in a position to intervene in the decision made by Manbere Lama. Manbere Lama is not accepted by, it is not acknowledged, approved by the main church. Now, Manbere Lama is taking another step, showing that it does not want to rejoin the church, at least for the time being. Manbere Lama today issued a statement. It wants to hold election for the appointment of new bishops. Election will be held on 9th of July, Ethiopian calendar, 16th of July. So on 16th of July, this election, 2023, this election will be held in Tigray. New bishops will be appointed. If election is held, bishops are appointed, obviously this move will be rejected by the main church. We saw start of confrontation between the main church and Romanian-based breakaway faction. After the breakaway faction appointed some bishops. 26 bishops were appointed by 3 archbishops, Abune Sarios, Stotios and Marcos. That led to start of a split within the church. And it took several months for some reconciliation, though issues still unresolved. Tigray doing the same. It is now going to hold elections to start the appointment of bishops. How will the main church respond to this announcement of holding of election to appoint bishops? That remains to be seen. We'll try to monitor the development update in coming videos. The church might speak in coming hours in response to this announcement by Tigray Manbere Lama to appoint bishops on the 16th of July 2023. Thirdly, viewers, Debretsion Gebremichael, TPLF leader, was interviewed, I think, on BBC Tigray, and his interview is being shared, it is being broadcast by several local international news sources. Just one clip from this interview. Debretsion spoke about Algiers agreement, about Badme. A question was asked by the host about Badme. Badme was under Tigray control before the war broke out, though it was granted to Eritrea in the decision made by a boundary commission set up after Algiers agreement was signed in around more than 2 decades ago. And Tigray remained in control of Badme, but after the war broke out, we saw that Eritrean military took back Badme. Tigray is demanding Eritrean military to withdraw from Badme. What is Debretsion's position about Badme now? Debretsion said in his interview that talks should be held between Tigray and Eritrea about implementation of Algiers agreement. So that is why Eritrea should withdraw from Badme. Debretsion is demanding that Badme's status should be restored to pre-war position. That is, it should come under Tigray control, or at least Eritrean military should withdraw from Badme. And then talks should be held between Eritrea and Ethiopia, Tigray, about the status, future status of Badme. And he claimed that federal government is on board with Tigray about this Badme dispute. I don't know if federal government is on board with Tigray or not, but call for dialogue should be appreciated. Having said that, Eritrea will not withdraw from Badme now. If Tigray is hoping that Eritrea will withdraw from Badme and then talks will start, it will not happen. Talks should start whether Eritrea withdraws from Badme or not. The two sides should sit at the table. Whether they achieve something at the table or not, but you'll see that this temperature will be lowered. This atmosphere of hate and animosity will be neutralized to some extent. So talks should start. I back Debretsion on this issue, on this point, that talks should start. Eritrea obviously not going to withdraw from Badme, but Tigray says apart from Badme, some other territories which were given to Tigray, they are being held by Eritrean forces. So ultimately talks will be held sooner or later. Let's hope that talks start between Eritrea and Ethiopia involving Tigray leadership. To watch the video showing Debretsion when he spoke about Badme. Thank you for watching.
እዚ ዶብ ጉዳይ ናይ ኤርትራን ናይ ትግራይን ኣይኮነን ናይ ኢትዮጵያን ናይ ትግራይን ከም ዶብ ስለዚ ዶብ ዝምልከት ከምልኦ ፌደራል መንግስቲ እዩ በዓል ዋና ግን ኣብ ትግራይ መሬት ስለ ዘሎ ካብ ትግራይ ክወፅኡ ኣለዎም እዩ ያው ካብ ኢትዮጵያ እውን ይውፅኡ እዩ ማለት እዩ ብሓይልካ ዝተሓዝ ዝኾነ ነገር ኩሉ ይኽእል ኣልጀርስ ይኹን ካሊእ ብሓይሊ ማለት በመሰረተ ሓሳብ ፌደራል እውን በዚኣ እዩ ዝኣምን ዝቐበል ስለዚ እቲ ፌደራል መንግስቲ ብዛዕባ ዶብ ናይ በዓል ጉዳይ ክዘራረብ ግን ትግራይ እውን ዝምልከቶ ስለ ዝኾነ ኣብ ቀጻሊ ዝግበር ነገር እዩ ሕዚ ናይ ዶብ ናይ ምጥራር ጉዳይ እውን ኣይኮነ ዘሎ ብሓይሊ ዝተወረረ ቦታ ክለቅቕ ኣለዎ እዩ ኣብ ካብ ኩሉ እዩ ናይ ኣልጀርስ ዝበሃል ናይ ባድመ ይኹን ናይ ገለ ዝበሃል ሕዚ ክመፅእ ይኽእል ብሓይሊ ኣይኮነን ብሕጊ ብስርዓት ተራዳዲኻ ኣይፍፀም ዘሎ እምበር ብሓይሊ ዝተሓዝ ቦታ ክህሉ የብሉን ኢትናትና መርገ